Hey guys, Sublord here, back again with another edition of What's in the Box. What's in the freaking box? Well, I'll tell you what's in the freaking box. Be patient, jeez. Because if you managed to catch my little short that I posted yesterday, you know damn well that my Mythic Legion's Illythia wave from the fine folks over at Horsemen Studios has finally arrived, and what a glorious day it was. Well, it was in theory. Of course, my batch had some quality control issues, so as usual, I'm taking one for the team. I wish it was somebody else's turn, but whatever, I suppose. That said, these actually came earlier in the week. I just finally got around to making a short for them yesterday. These arrived on Monday/Tuesday. I say that because both mine and my dad's orders arrived on separate days. And aside from the two elf figures you see here, my dad got the same exact order that I did. So I actually got to open his order while he still has an open mind. Basically, he let me have what I ordered early, with the exception of my elves, because, no, he didn't order those. So that's pretty cool. He didn't have to do that, but it was nice of him to do that. Albeit, I kind of wish he didn't, because I got all the freaking QC issues, as usual. So I had to send an email out, and I'm patiently waiting to hear back. I'm sure the Horsemen are slammed with shipping orders and getting back to emails, so I'm more than willing to wait. Just don't make me wait too long, man. A couple of weeks maybe. But at any rate, we do have quite a bit to talk about here, so let's just jump right into it. First and foremost, we have Artemis Silver Card 2.0. And one thing I'm going to be doing with these figures, at least the four sitting in front of you right now, is I'm going to group them in reviews of two. So Artemis will be reviewed with that sexy bastard, and then Lord Bardrick, who is this handsome fella right here. No, this handsome fella right here, if I can grab the right one, will be reviewed with that sexy bastard right there. And a black elf character. Never thought I'd see the day. I know they probably exist, but I'm used to like dark elves, where their skin is like midnight black, jet black. But this is cool. It's different. He is not meant to be a shadow elf, and I think there is actually a black elf character already. There was like a black elf head sculpt with the Elf Legion builder, if I'm not mistaken. That said, we got a centaur finally. I know his head's a little cut off here, so I'll pan up for you. I think his name is Apharius. I don't know. Please correct me in the comments below if I am mispronouncing or getting the names wrong, because there's one thing Four Horsemen likes to do is come up with some crazy whack-ass names. So I think his name is Apharius, but don't quote me on that. He's got a bow, he's got a quiver, he's got a trident, which appears to be one solid piece. He's got a pretty epic sword too, but there's nowhere to put that on the figure. And one thing I noticed with this wave, they don't come with the strap thingies, the little brown straps with the slits in them, so you can put some weapons in there. I think a couple of these guys would have benefited from that, but for the most part, I'm able to manage right now. Setting Apharius over there. It's actually going to better look at Artemis. She kind of just got pushed to the side here. She's got wings on the back. She's got her Xylonian bow there. I think she also came with a sword. She's got her quiver. But they actually released her already in a more ceremonial type getup. This is for a coronation of her becoming queen of Xylona's flock. So that's actually a figure my dad has. Not sure if I'll have that on hand for the review, but I would like to. And she actually rides this glorious piece of freaking plastic right here in the battle. This is Alder. Alder the infamous, Alder the awesome. It's a freaking moose, man. And I'm going to get into why I absolutely adore this thing in the review. But long story short, it's a funny story to go along with my dad, aka Mr. Brian, aka the old man. Because we had a particular encounter with a fake moose that is absolutely hilarious. And I'll get into that in the review, so stay tuned for that. That'll be going up a week from Monday. And then the Lord Bardrick and Afarius, whatever his name is, will be going up a week from Wednesday. Because Tuesday will be the first review I do from this wave, and that'll be the Lady of the Hour herself, the Goddess of Famine, and Queen of Illythia's brood, and all of the creatures of the night, Illythia herself. So, with that being said, I'm actually going to cut this. Let me set Alder down first, I don't want to, there we go. But let me cut this, and I will bring in Illythia and her brood. And as promised, here is the Lady of the Hour herself, Illythia, alongside her brood of creatures of the night, aka the vampires, which up until this point were a pretty light faction in the Mythic Legions line, much like the Circle of Poxus before the Poxus wave went up for pre-order last year. These guys and those guys were fairly light as far as representation goes in this line, at least compared to the Skeletons and the Legion of Illythia, which is a little bit more diverse of a faction, whereas this is just strictly vampires and the Skeletons is strictly skeletons. The Legion of Illythia and even the Circle of Poxus have a little bit more diversity amongst their faction members. So it's nice to get some more characters, but I would also like to see some different races in this faction, if that's a thing. Eric Treadway did say there are werewolves in Mythos, so I would love to know which faction they represent. Personally, I think it would make the most sense to put them here, but that's ultimately not my decision. So with that being said, let's get right into this. We got a lot to talk about here. Starting off with probably the least interesting, we have Baron Voliger 2. And when I say least interesting, I say that in a nice way because he's more interesting than his previous counterpart, which was just Black Knight. This is a straight up like new figure with a crap ton of new parts, and I love that. It makes him more unique, gives him a lot more character. And we finally got a vampire head for this guy, which has that scar on the front, which looks awesome. And then he also has this crest for Illythia there, who is apparently his mum. His mummy! News to me, I thought it was his wife. And, well, I guess that kind of explains a lot. But I want to know one thing. Who's Illythia's hubby and who is Voliger's wifey? Because Voliger has a daughter, Lucretia, who I actually did review on this channel for Halloween a couple of years ago. I'm actually going to get into Halloween a little bit more in just a moment here. But I want to know how the spawning of these characters is possible without a significant other, man. Because that's how it works. And then we have probably my favorite figure. I don't know, it's between him and the big dude and that little bat freak over there, but I love this guy. This is Valak. This is the Vampire Ranger with the Falcon Cinder, who I'm surprised isn't black. And not to mention, this guy's supposed to be a master of stealth, but he's got a light purple cloak on. So, you know, you can see him from a mile away and kill his ass. But it is what it is. I love this figure. Probably my favorite of the wave. And looks a lot like my version of Dracula would. I'm not going to lie. albeit with more archery stuff going on. But if I did some swaps and some repaints and whatnot, I could probably make my version of Dracula out of that figure. So that is pretty cool. That said, his knees were a little loose out of package, so I did contact Four Horsemen about that, much like the other stuff I have not mentioned yet, like my Apharius. His one arm is a little stuck. I put some soap in there, but I don't know if that really fixed the problem. It still gets stuck. And then my Alder's head is loose. Without the antlers, don't be a smartass. That said, this guy's about to take a tumble here, so we might as well look at him. This is Varg, and, you know, friggin' Eric Treadway talked about how he listens to, like, The Cure and stuff when he's designing and sculpting these characters. I call BS. This guy's name is Varg. He's into some straight-up black metal. Like, there's a guy named Varg, there's a guy named Belphegor. All we need is a guy named Korthon, and that kind of confirms it. Okay. That said, this guy's awesome. He's got a little leash here, so he can be led by Baron Volliger, this big guy back here. I will say he is a little top heavy because of the wings, but that's to be expected. And really, all I gotta do is like spread the wings out a little more and move his legs back just a smidge, and he'll be able to stand a little better. But for right now, I like him leaning forward with his knees bent. He's got the chains. Again, he's got this leash here so he can be led on by somebody. I don't know. I think this guy's really cool. I don't think he's a sleeper hit of the wave, but I feel like unless you have a bunch of them, you don't really appreciate them as much as you should. Much like this guy right here, who has the new hip design, I'll mention. Because for those of you who don't know, the Equidron disaster, or who weren't a part of the Equidron disaster, may not know that the hips on that thing were hot garbage and would not move for shit. So the Horsemen, being the cool guys that they are, went in and redesigned the hips to be more of a Marvel Legends-y type ball hinge. So you can pose the crap out of these now. They're nice and tight. And yeah, that's pretty freaking cool, man. The Horsemen, taking note, listening to the fans. Albeit some of you guys were, not gonna lie, being little bitches about it. But at the end of the day, the Horsemen listen. And that's awesome. That's all I want from these companies. I want them to listen to our complaints, take them into consideration, and make good on it. Now, the best way they could make good on it is send us replacement hips for all the other figures. I mean, let's be honest here, because these hips are both strong and easy to move, whereas the other ones, they are kind of strong. They loosened up a little bit since then, but they're not as good as these. So I would love to see them replace the hips, or at least sell them for like $10 or something, $10-20, get replacement hips or crotch pieces, whatever it is, for our other ogre scale figures. Because moving forward, this is the design they're going with, and I'm super stoked about that. That said, he is a little bare up here, I noticed, but he does have all this going on here. He's got this quasi Skeletor skirt going on, which is all wired, by the way, which is something I didn't mention about Artemis. Her whole attire is wired, and that's due in part to the fine folks over at CJSM. So I don't believe it's just CJ. I think it's more than one person. Same with this back here. This is like a nice leather material, much like the front here, and it just feels so good, so premium. And there's his noggin there. But I gotta tell you, this guy is kind of a sleeper hit for me. I knew he was going to be great. I was actually baiting with anticipation to get him, because they teased the Vampire Brute a couple of years ago, several years ago now. It was like the first When they first started doing the ogre figures, that's around the time when they teased the vampire brute. But he wasn't named. He didn't have all the fancy accoutrements yet. His gauntlets were the same as, I think, Bothor the Towers. And we weren't really sure when we were going to get him. And now we finally got him, they added even more to him. He actually has 2 weapons, technically, because he's got the little axe with the extender piece. And he's got alternate hands. So not only is he an improvement over the previous ogre figures, he comes with a heck of a lot more stuff. And I think he costs just as much as those other figures. That's insane to me. Like, what the... I don't know, man. The 4 Horsemen, if you want what you pay for, the 4 Horsemen is the way to go. They have their downfalls, they have their shortcomings, they have their issues, but they also have customer service that's willing to fix the problem. And when there is a widespread problem, they're going to go and tweak it. So, you know, unlike certain people who want to charge $350 for a freaking muscle car, the 4 Horsemen actually seem to give a shit where our money is going. And that's all I ask! For those of you who are going to defend that, why don't you back it first before you do that, so you don't look like a chump. Moving on, though. We have Illythia with her mighty steed Phobos, which I guess is a girl. I don't know. Looks like Nightmare from Dungeons & Dragons to me, which if NECA finally puts out that War Duke, you could put him on this. That would be pretty cool. But Illythia being kind of tall here. There you go. But she is a gorgeous figure, and this horse is no exception to that. It's an amazing piece. I of course bought the 2-pack layup, so you'll see the packaging for that in the review. But just a beautiful piece, a very fidgety piece, mind you, but a very gorgeous piece, and definitely a highlight of this wave. Faux show. So, with that being said, I don't want to talk about her too much because her review is going up Tuesday. But I will say, in my review, she does fall apart at the midsection, right here at her waist, for me quite a bit. And that's because I flipped the cloth elements around to make her easier to sit on the horse. But in turn, that kind of pushes the little rubber belt piece up. The kind of loincloth piece that she's got going on. It's more like a belt, I suppose. It pushes that up out of the notch it's supposed to rest in, so her waist doesn't snap in all the way. So that's why that happens. I've gone and fixed that since then because, well, she's sitting on the horse now and that hasn't been an issue. But just something to know. I didn't figure it out during the review, but I figured it out not long after I finished recording it. So, you know, much like Mythic Legions, you get what you pay for here. I do make mistakes, and to be honest with you, this review is quite long, so I didn't want to drag it out any more than it already was, so I just kind of left that out, but I figured I'd mention it here since it's going up before the review. But with that being said, that's it. That's everything. I gotta get Krotos during an in-stock sale. Hopefully he lasts long enough for me to do that, because my dad does want to get another one of these Phoboses to put the Vampire Ranger on, even though he doesn't open his stuff, so that's kind of perplexing, but at least I'll have the different packaging, I guess. And honestly, I would love to get another Valak to get some parts for Blade Killer, because I love the pant leg sculpt, but as of right now, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that or not. But I do love the legs on that figure. That totally works for Blade Killer. Totally works. That's almost perfect. Albeit missing some spikes, because Blade Killer's got spiked shin guards and knee pads and whatnot. Actually, he's got skull knee pads, but that's close enough for me. Much like the original Baron Volliger armor, I would actually not mind having that for his gauntlets, his right hand, his right arm, and his shoulder pads. And then the actually the little loincloth piece for Valak too would work for Blade Killer. It's not gray like I would prefer, but it is like a light purple. It's close enough. It's not bad. It's fine. It's serviceable. You know, I'm sure we'll get other colors later on in the line, but right now I think I might pick up another Valak just to get the legs, because I love the legs. The legs are awesome. Perfect for my Blade Killer figure. But we'll see. These are $37 now. When I got them, they were $35. Although they didn't bump the price up of the Poxus 2-pack. I think that was still $90 if I'm not mistaken, right? But again, unlike people who want to charge $350 for a freaking muscle car, 4 Horsemen are literally giving you more by not raising their rates a whole heck of a lot. Like, do I need to mention this Vampire Brute again? He comes way more stuff than the previous Ogre Scale figures, and I swear he costs the same. Don't quote me on that, though. It was late 2020 when that happened. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's edition of What's in the Box. Stay tuned, because the rest of Illythia's Brood will be coming this Halloween season. I told you guys I had something very special planned for that, and that is only a part of it. So I hope you guys are ready for it, because I know I'm not going to be busting my ass for quite a while. But with all that being said, if you're so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more content to the channel. Got plenty coming your way as always, because we still got a couple of weeks worth of content before I take a little break. I'll get more into that on Friday, Flashback Fridays to be specific, but stay tuned. You'll find out a little bit more what's going on there. And as always, if you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions, as well as the Mythic Legions Cabal over on ye old Facebook. Be a part of the Mythic Legions community. But as always, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is, especially when you get some QC issues on some stuff you've been waiting a heck of a long time for. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's really not. But god damn it, man. It's always my shit. Always! I forgot to mention Illythia's, or Phobos' saddle, I should say, is missing one of the little loop-de-loops for weapon storage on it, so I gotta get one of those too. Hopefully 4 Horsemen deliver as they normally do, right? But, with that being said, until next time, I'm gonna quit rambling. I'll catch you guys later.